Today we're talking about what you can realistically invest in if you want to put some money into Sword and Shield, especially Evolving Skies, without having to spend £1,000 on a Umbreon. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are looking over specifically Eeveelutions, and while we do that, we're going to be opening up some Crimson Haze. Down here, picture in picture, we want to try and pull another one of these amazing Infernapes, or if we can, the best card in the set, the Greninja. Before we get into this, hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. So there's been so much talk about booster boxes and the prices of Lost Origin, for example, and now is the time to buy, and all of that is 100% true, but it's been said, so I'm not going to go into that. I want to talk about something I don't think people are talking about enough because of the booster box boom, let's call it that, and that is singles, specifically Eeveelution singles from Evolving Skies. So there's no surprise to anyone that Umbreon has been going up and up and up and up, and it's sitting at about $1,000 at the moment. Maybe you can get it for less, I don't know exactly, and I haven't even looked at that market because it's basically priced itself out of 99% of people's budgets. And following that trend is the Leafeon Vmax, the Glaceon Vmax, and the Sylveon Vmax, all from Evolving Skies. And let's not forget about the espeon Vmax from Fusion Strike. And what this means is that at the moment, these are becoming pretty difficult to buy and aren't looking like viable investments at the moment. So we'll start off with the Umbreon, everyone's favorite, everyone's talking point, and is understandable why this art is second to none. Literally, it's probably, in my opinion, the second best art. So actually it's second to one, but in the grand population's view, it's the second to none. And so we can see a general increase. There was a bit of a stagnation for the last couple months before this last month, and now it's just gone up and up and up, and it's sitting at $800. I think I said $1,000 before. TCG players a bit hit and miss with that, but it's sitting at around $800, which is a huge amount of money to spend on a raw card. Don't get me wrong, I think this card will go up, but I don't see it going up any higher than 1,000, and that's where it's going to stay. If we look at cards in the past, for raw cards, modern day raw cards, nothing, and I mean nothing, has touched this card in terms of price. And if we're looking at vintage cards, you really have to be looking at exclusives or promos or Zards or maybe first edition Lugias and things like that. It's really rare that we get $1,000 raw modern card, and it's fairly rare that we get $1,000 raw vintage card. So $1,000 card in general is crazy and is not something we should be investing in. That being said, this card right here has been completely destroyed by the one and only PokeRev. I made a video about it recently. It's not his fault at all, of course. He just voiced an opinion, but his pulling power is so strong that it has made the price of this card double, if not more, over the last month. So while you might be saying, well, that's not really a viable purchase either, and you'd be right now it's not. But in the next couple of months, I think the Umbreon V is probably your best bet in terms of the Eeveelution V cards to grab raw, because Umbreon is probably most people's favorite from the Eeveelution line. And the fact that Umbreon has been priced out of most people's budgets mean that most people will be happy to go for the next best thing, which is that Umbreon V. And let's not get it twisted, in my opinion, this is actually on par with that Umbreon. And to be honest, a similar trend to the Umbreon has been happening with all the other Eeveelution VMAXs from Evolving Skies. The Leafeon is up at over $200, where it was sitting at 150 odd a couple of weeks ago. The Glaceon, in a similar vein of form, has gone up to about $170, where it was at about 145. So it's not a huge increase, but it is increasing and is going to increase because of the lack of availability of Evolving Skies and how expensive sealed product is. And similarly, Sylveon has gone up. This has been a spike over the last 2 weeks from $130. We're now looking at potentially $165, $170, which is crazy. Each card in itself is a beautiful artwork, but I personally think the artwork has nothing to do with this, and it's solely because of the fact that Eeveelutions are loved by everybody, and Evolving Skies is pretty much on its last legs in terms of sealed product. So no one would slate you for saying that these cards are just not viable investments, because if you wanted to get even those three as a set, you'd be looking at upwards of $500, easily, potentially $600. And even for the espeon Vmax, which is in Fusion Strike, we're looking at a 33% increase roughly, sitting at about $160 now. Over the last month, it's been up and up and up. And this brings me nicely onto 4 cards, and if you add the Umbreon V, which we already spoke about, 5 cards that you can buy as alternatives to those which actually right now I think are the best investments in the Sword and Shield era, specifically when we're talking about Eeveelutions. And again, you'll see a trend here where the cards are going up in price. If we look at the Leafeon V, this card is going up. Before it was about $50, now it's creeping above $60 over the last month, but even at $60, it's not a bad purchase. I could see this going upwards, all of these going upwards of $100 at one point, And I think the fan favorites, so especially Espeon and potentially Glaceon, because a lot of people love Glaceon, will go above that kind of value. And actually I'm forgetting about Sylveon here, because that does have a loyal fan base as well. Although that hasn't crept a huge amount, it's sitting at about $65 roughly. It's definitely a good purchase to make, because in the long run I think that could go up to 100, 120 because of the alternative factor to the Vmaxes, which are just going to be out of most people's budgets. So in summary, I think it's actually really beneficial right now to buy the 5 V cards. Maybe hold off on the Umbreon for a bit, but the other ones grab before they skyrocket. People will be happy with the next best thing when they're priced out of the best thing, and I think at the moment people are priced out and card prices are only going to go up. There might be slight fluctuation, but it's not going to fluctuate to the level where they're going to become affordable by any means. Hit like, hit subscribe, let me know down below which one you want to buy. In my opinion, the best of the bunch is the Espeon. Now there are 6 other cards which I think are worth getting. I pulled out 3 of them. I do have the Vmaxes, but these are the promo cards from Sword and Shield for Vaporeon, Flareon and Jolteon. Now I'm lucky enough to have them at PSA 9. I wish I had them in a 10, but you know, that's the way it goes. They are starting to get really expensive, and now is the best time to buy them raw, if not graded, if you can. And lucky enough for you and anyone else who's watching this video, they are actually available, both the Vs and Vmaxes, for a reasonable price, but they have been ticking up in price over the last couple of weeks. For example, the Vaporeon VMAX, which is just a stunning artwork, it is pretty steady, but you can start to see a slight increase. And if we look at the other 2 VMAXes, specifically Jolteon, that has a really big increase, and I think the Vaporeon is going to follow suit in the long term. That's not to say you can't invest in it, because if you wanted all 3 of these raw right now, you could probably get all 3 for about $100 combined. Similarly, the V cards, which are actually in a similar price range, they're kind of fluctuating up and down. There's a slight uptick a couple of months ago, but again, these are cards that you could easily get. The Flareon is going up slightly, and they are sitting at around $24, $21 for the Jolteon, which has seen an increase. But all 6 of those cards are readily available online and are at a decent price point at the moment. So those are actually a really good alternative or addition to your Eeveelution collection if you can't get the other 5 that we mentioned before, either the Vmaxes or the Vs. If you can't get those, you could potentially get all 6 of these graded for $400 to $500, which is a lot of money, but I do anticipate them going up in price. They're some of the best cards we've ever seen. They're all Gen 1 cards, and in my opinion, especially the Vaporeon, it's just the best art we've ever seen for these cards. I'm not sure we'll ever see art like this for these cards for a long time to come, because Sword and Shield was the era of the Eeveelution. I'm not sure they're going to do too much Eeveelution for a while. And let me know down below if you are lucky enough to own one of these 3 or the Vmaxes, and let me know which one is your favorite. And if you're really lucky, let me know down below if you have a sealed box, because that would be really cool. So if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, share with your friends. Let me know down below which card is your favorite, and if you're picking up some V cards. Of course, this is just my opinion, but it's something that I think will happen. I think the V cards, especially the Eeveelution V cards, are actually better than the secondary tier of tag teams that we've seen, and those are pretty expensive, so I think these will be pretty expensive in the long term. And let me know what you guys thought of this style of video today with the opening in the bottom here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.